So hopefully by now you have solved the problem yourself, and now you are coming back to look at the solution. This is like, remember a little while back we did a problem on Hall-Petch equation, that the grain dia at this yield strength is so much, the grain dia at this yield strength is so much, and now use the Hall-Petch equation to find for the future. So there were two constants there, sigma naught and k, and you wrote the Hall-Petch equation one time with one conditions and second time with the second conditions. Now you had two equations, you had to solve them simultaneously. So here the same thing is there. The equation is given. The equation is given. A small t, time to recrystallize, is Ce minus q upon RT. So the value of R you can put there, or you can leave it there. You without putting the value you are okay. But the value of temperature you have to do that at this temperature 88. So add 273 to it, and then it will become temperature in Kelvin. Put that capital T here, and the time to recrystallize is given as 9000. So 9000 is equal to C e raised to minus q upon R into the temperature. This is equation 1. Second time the temperature is 135. So 135 plus 273 is your capital T, and the time to recrystallize is 200. So 200 is equal to C e raised to minus q upon R into that temperature, right? Why am I saying that whether you multiply by actual value of R or you leave R as it is, it does not matter. You have now two equations, equation 1, equation 2. There are two equations, and you can now solve. For example, if you divide first equation by the second equation, the C upon C will cancel out, isn't it? There is equation 1 for 9000 minutes. There is equation 2 for 200 minutes. Now if you divide equation 1 upon equation 2, this C and that C will cancel out, and you will be remaining with only one Q, isn't it? And then you can solve for that. Once you are there, then it is e raised to minus something. E raised to minus something. Okay? So one thing you can do is, you can take this to the other side. It will become e raised to plus q upon RT. But this time will become 1 upon T. Do you understand what I am saying? That here it is T is equal to so much. The C has already been cancelled. So now if you take 1 upon, then this becomes 1 upon T, and this becomes e raised to plus q by RT. Okay, and so on. And from there now e raised to some number is there. If you take natural log ln, if you take ln of left side and you take ln of the right side, then ln and e cancel out, and then you have a normal equation, and from there you will solve it. So this is basically not a big problem in materials. This is that once you understand that this equation is given for the activation energy of recrystallization, and I write this equation once for one time, then I write the same equation again for the second recrystallization time, and from there I solve them simultaneously and cancel out the C, and I solve only for Q, which is to be asked. So if you see here, this is what they are going to do. Time. So time is this much, and temperature for the first one is 88 plus 273. Second time is 200, temperature is 135 plus 273. So the first equation is T1 is equal to C e raised to q upon RT1. You will see that they have done a small error here. Rather than solving e raised to minus q upon RT, they are solving for e raised to q plus, right? So this is a small error. If the given equation e raised to minus, then solve for e raised to minus. But suppose that the equation was e raised to plus, then this is it. So we are just learning the methodology. So this is the first equation. So T1 is 9 into 10 raised to 3, and CEQ upon RT1, you put the values. But as you are seeing, they are leaving R there for now. T2 200 minute is equal to so much. If you divide one equation by the other, the C and the C will cancel out, right? And you will have 9000 upon 200, which becomes 45. Exponent, remember, exponent means e raised to. Exponent means e raised to. So C and C have been cancelled out. When it is exponent of this divided by exponent of this, then you remember that in powers it will be e raised to this minus this. Understand? Remember, when it is e raised to x1, upon x2. So then it is right, e raised to x1 minus e raised to x2. So that is what they are doing, that the q upon r and so on. So r and r will cancel out and this will come out, and then you can solve it. Once you solve it, whatever is there, then you take ln of this. When you take ln of this, then ln of e cancels out, so only this term remains, and you rearrange and solve it, and the answer is 99.038 joule per mole or 99.04 kilojoule per mole, right? The unit you have to understand carefully, that you write all the values, and because it is energy per mole, so this will be joule per mole. This you have to, because of this R. The R was joule per mole per Kelvin, right? Joule per mole per Kelvin. So therefore, because of that, the answer is in joule per mole. So we are just showing you this. It is not, as I told you, it is not anything complicated in terms of material science. In terms of material science, you understand very well that this is the equation for the activation energy or for the heat required to complete the recrystallization process, and one recrystallization time, one recrystallization temperature, put it one equation. Second recrystallization time, second recrystallization temperature, put it second equation. Now just solve the two equations. Because it is e raised to some power, therefore rather than adding or subtracting two equations, you divide the equations, and when it is two terms, which is power of 1 and power of 2, then you can combine them and the powers add together. If there are two terms, one divided by the other, then in the power it is this power minus that power. This is your very basic math. So you just apply that, and in the end, when you get to this stage, you take ln, because ln of e or ln of exponent will cancel out, and it will become ln of 45 on this side, and so this is what you do. Okay. So I keep on telling you, some of you kept on asking me, only a few, that give us more practice. The problem, you see, I keep on telling you from day one, my target is not that you are in a school in year 5 or year 6. My target is not even that you are in Sanavia. My target is that you are now in the middle of your engineering education. After 2 years, 2.5 years, you will be complete engineers. So we have to make you two major things, that you start thinking. It is not just that the teacher taught me how to solve this problem, I can solve a problem. If there is a problem which is slightly different, I cannot solve it. You think. So we want you to really think. You see, you submit a solution in the homework and you have copied it from your friend. Okay, you will get 1% mark. But when the quiz is 5%, and when the midterm is 30%, and when the final is 40%, if you have not solved it yourself, you will suffer there. So you will gain 1% by copying the homework, but you will lose 30, 40, 50% if you don't solve it yourself. So even if your friend is helping you, but try to completely understand the solution. Therefore, I will do enough examples. You see, if you do this one example, then any problem related to activation energy or recrystallization energy, now you can solve it very well. There is no issue. But if you don't understand it well and you just copy it, then of course there will be an issue. So the answer to those 1 or 2 people who kept on saying that please solve more problems for us, we will solve enough problems, some simple, some medium, some more difficult, during the classes, so that you can get good practice. But your job is that please do not look at the solution, just see the problem, hide the solution, and work, really think, so that you become strong, and look at the solution only in the end. If you don't do that, if you every time just very quickly read the solution, then you will feel it is easy, but you will make the mistakes in the quiz and the exam. So I will do a lot of problems. In every section we are doing problems, and I am very sure that I am selecting problems by which you can become pretty strong. Second thing, I have already given you the homework, right? And I will give you more homeworks. So homeworks are not there to give you a lot of marks. I will give you say only 1% for one homework. But those homeworks are there for you to get now extra practice at home. So now please solve those homeworks independently. Don't look at the solution. Don't consult your friends. Do it independently. In the complete end, when you are very, very sure that you have solved it, then okay, compare with your friends also, so that you can find where your mistakes were. Then there are some other examples in the book, not in my lecture notes, which because of time I have not solved, but they are solved examples. So do that also. So examples that we do in the class, examples that are there in the book, solved examples but we have not covered, and homework problems. If these three you can do independently without anybody's help, you are already above average. You are C plus, B minus, something like that, already in the class. Then at the end of each chapter in the book, there are some problems to do. So go to the end of the chapter problems and select one or two problems which look a little difficult. Because if you can handle difficult ones, you don't have to do the simple ones. So I am trying to explain to you, please, we will solve many examples during the class, just like we are solving this one right now. There will be other solved examples in the book which you can do later on. But again, just read the problem, hide the solution. And there are homework problems. If all of these three you can solve independently yourself, then you are already very strong, mashallah, and you are above average in the class. More than that, if you want something like A minus A, then go to the end of the chapter and solve 2-3 problems which are more difficult. By this way, you have more than enough practice. Also, as you have just seen in the last lecture, I solved the quiz for you. So every time there is a quiz after 1 or 2 classes, I will solve that also. So that will again be an extra practice. So please don't keep on demanding that please solve more examples and more problems, because that means you do not want to become a good solid engineer. You just want to get a good grade with very little effort in the course. So that type of good grade is going to hurt you in the real field. When you are going for an interview, you will have a bad interview. Even if you get a job, then they will see that during the job you are very weak. You are not independent. Every time you will go and ask your manager how to do it. Right? So therefore, try to become independent and try to solve all the problems yourself. Do not look at the solution only. Okay? Good. I'm just showing you this slide because this is sort of a reminder for myself that I have to send you the lab manual, and I have to explain to you in future lectures the different labs that we will be doing during the semester and so forth. So this is just a reminder for me and you that we have to discuss the lab work also. This completely finishes chapter 6. Alhamdulillah.